Welcome to the Natural Visionaries, the podcast where we redefine success in motherhood and in business through faith, purpose, and community. I'm Anna Bordner. I'm a mom, I'm an engineer, I'm an entrepreneur, and a firm believer that God has uniquely called us to create a life that aligns with His vision, not the world's expectations. Here, we have honest conversations with moms who are building businesses, raising families, and living out their purpose as visionaries, making an impact. So if you're ready to embrace a life of faith, freedom, and fulfillment, you're in the right place. Hey Visionaries, you guys are the first to know about this brand new course. So imagine launching a stunning strategic website and nailing your branding all in one weekend. The weekend website is your go-to course to create your Squarespace website with clarity and confidence. Plus, it includes built-in branding templates and ChatGPT prompts to help you design your entire brand package and prompts to guide you every step of the way, from defining your niche and your ideal client all the way through your final website copy. So there is no other course like this. It is the course that I wish I had when I first started my first business in 2015. And with its current price tag being $200 off, this course is way below the range of a $5,000 custom website. So join by June 1st and get your $200 off. Price goes up on June 1st, plus tons of extra bonuses. However, this one being important. So the first 10 people to enroll in this course get a bonus website review from me. So this is all through my business, the Dwell Society. So you can go over to thedwellsociety.com/weekend website to join now. Can't wait to see you in there. Hello, Jessica Bordner. Welcome to the Natural Visionaries podcast.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here and doing this with you.
Well, thanks for letting me guilt you into this. I'm like, hi, I need guests. You have to do it. And you were more than game.
Yes, very excited.
Okay, so Jessica Bordner is first of all, my amazing sister-in-law. People always ask us if we're sisters. We are not. Our husbands are brothers.
Yep.
And she is a wedding photographer and like a couples photographer. And now you do interiors. Maybe share a little bit more about that. What is it that you do? Who are you, Jess Bordner?
Yay. Yeah, yay. I'm so excited to be here. So I have been a wedding photographer for the last, at the end of this year will be 15 years. And I've been in that luxury event and wedding space since the end of 2010. Fun fact, your wedding was one of my first weddings.
Oh yeah, who did
Um,
you meet there, Jess?
and I met my husband there. So I think it's an important detail in the story. And then in the last 5 years, I've pivoted to grow my interior design photography and hospitality side of the business, which has been really fun. And that has been a growing part of my photography and creativity in the last few years now.
Oh, that's awesome. So even back when you started, you had a business partner who was incredible, and then now you don't. And there was no like bad breakup there, but maybe what did that look like from that business transition for you?
Sure. Yeah, so when I started in 2010, my company was called Stay Forever Photography, which I still love and adore the name. And yeah, my business partner, Melissa, and I had been, we were coworkers in a corporate workspace, but we had also known each other from growing up in the same town. And so we both had a hobby passion for photography, and we started doing it within our corporate roles at the company we worked for. And that
Which
turned
was like
into,
a real estate company?
no, it
That was hacked. Okay.
was a medical tourism company. Super random. Yeah, we were the event coordinators and travel coordinators for the company, which kind of also plays a role into like getting into the event space. She basically, through the events, I organized all the travel um, for getting people to different countries. So we kind of like played that role. And then we also kind of became the office photographers for, it was a very small company. So, but photography grew from there, where we just sort of both were able to quit our jobs within 2 years of starting. We just had we were young, we had a lot of passion for it. We knew we could do it. We really had nothing to lose at that point. So it was a really cool time. And then a few years later, 2014, um, marriages happened, moves happened, just life transitions. And we decided that when she officially moved, that it was time to sort of separate the company. Thought about keeping it and trying to do it in two locations, but Jessica Bordner Photography eventually evolved and kind of took over this South Florida space. So,
That's amazing. And then to back up like even farther. So you went to UF.
yes,
What'd you go to UF for?
I was a business major and a mass communications minor.
And then you also got your real estate license at the
Yes,
same
so
time.
no, the when I graduated, I had an opportunity to join. So DeVasta is like a local builder here in South Florida. Well, a lot of people probably know who they are. And they had come up to do sort of like I don't know if it was like a workshop or just to talk about like career like in real estate. And they had come up to the University of Florida and I had gone and I was like, this is something I could maybe do. So after doing that, and this was in months of me graduating and not sure what I was going to do, I applied to basically do like a sales internship with them. And during that internship of like learning, I studied for my real estate license and took it. But it was like the summer after I graduated.
Yeah. So I think where I'm getting at with this question is like 2008 happened and I know there's like younger people than us listening to this.
You know, don't age us. What's happening?
I know. 2008 there was like a big real estate market crash. Is that when you switched over to the medical company?
Yes,
And
exactly.
then did that also kind of push you to look into photography when you were switching the careers, or were you always a photographer?
I always, not necessarily photography, but when I was at the University of Florida, I did take some side classes in Photoshop. So maybe like the graphic side of things.
Hmm.
It wasn't necessarily like editing a photo I took, but just learning Photoshop and the design aspect of Photoshop. So I was always interested in that side of things. Um, and then I had a decent camera. I think it was an Olympus. It wasn't really that great, but I would bring it traveling all the time. So to answer your question, yes, the real estate basically bust. Um, the company I worked for started doing layoffs. I think it was just kind of like one of those things that I was young and I just thought that that would be my job forever at the time. And I loved doing it. But I had a little bit of a reality check. Eventually, everyone got like laid off. There was like a big layoff. I knew it was coming. And then I started working at the mall. Saks Fifth Avenue in the
I
purse
didn't know
department.
this.
Yes. And then I started back into college classes. I started back and I did a lot more like Photoshop things.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was just like,
I think I always thought you were like self-taught with Photoshop and
yeah.
photography.
Yeah, no, I did some of that side of it, just kind of for fun, like, okay, now what do I do? But from there, I ended up getting the job at the company, which was great because I was able to travel a ton. I went to 6 or 7 different countries through work. Um, but that kind of ties into the photography side because I had gotten a nice camera and I just like liked taking photos, thought I knew I was what I was doing. I didn't really know. But I got to take it traveling. So I think like the travel side and like the camera and just like getting to explore the world and being in my 20s, having this nice camera, that kind of gave me the passion of like the photography side of things. And then I was more self-taught when it came to starting sort of a wedding business because I hadn't taken photos of people necessarily at
Yeah.
that point.
So how did you teach yourself about weddings?
You know, back then,
Yeah.
way back,
2010.
it's kind of depressing. There wasn't as many, now there's so much education out there through Instagram and TikTok and all these things where you can just like learn like how to edit something out of Photoshop with a 10-second reel. Back then, you didn't know anything. You had to dig to learn about things, and it wasn't as like out there. But at the time, Jasmine Star, who people might not even know, she was a wedding photographer at the time, and she was like the first person in education um, that like came out with like, I think she even like had someone follow her live at a wedding, which was probably so scary back then because it wasn't like a normal thing. And so I like watched a lot of like watching her how to shoot a wedding, just learning. A lot of it was just like faking it till you make it, doing weddings and going in and messing up and figuring out what
Yeah.
what's next.
And then, so like you went your degree was business. And then you also have this incredible personality where you can talk to people. And then not only can you talk to people, you like follow through with what you say you're going to do. And then you over deliver every time. It's like your
Okay.
MO. Um, do you think that confidence for having your business came from your business degree? Or do you think it just came from like figuring things out as you go?
I think it was a little bit of both. I would say the business degree taught me more about truly like the business side of running a business. I actually really wasn't great in accounting or finance. Like
Yeah.
I was like a straight A student till college. And when I did college courses, that really, I feel like it was like the real life stuff where you're just like, oh, I have to do all
This
this.
is not, and I remember like
This
learning
is,
the value of a dollar versus like how it changes over time in my business minor. I'm like, I'm not using that.
yeah, yeah. So I learned a little bit of that. I think, but mostly I think the confidence of like starting a business and things like that came from a few different things. I think my sales job with Devasta, they at the time, I think real estate's a little different now, but this like internship I did wasn't just like, oh, let's like sell houses. They really taught you about like people's like how to read someone,
Mm.
like what is this buyer's motive? Is it family? Is it ego? What are they looking for in a house? What are the cues they're going to give you as you show a house inside? Everything from like, how they tap a wall or enter a room, why they go a certain way. It was like very like it was really cool actually. Are they people who like fabric? Like are they touching everything? Like I'm a toucher of things. Like, oh, look at this countertop. Look at this. So if they're that person, you can like hone in on those things and like sell someone based on what they're truly looking for. So it was kind of cool. So I learned a lot about people doing that job, I think. So I guess real life experience helped me more than like
Yeah.
my college degree.
Yeah. And then your parents own a business. Did your sister have her business at that point? Did you get family support when you started your?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did. Gosh, I should probably know when. My
To keep
sister's
up with
owned
her.
many businesses. She definitely had something going on, at least I know, during that time. And my parents are entrepreneurs and own their own business, so it kind of runs in the family. And I don't even know if it was so much of a, oh my gosh, you can do it, as like it just like great, that's what you're doing. Like it was such a normal thing within our family to go and do that. It didn't feel scary.
That's such a good point, is just normalize having a business. Even if it's not the main thing, it's normal and it should be normal
Yeah.
to have a business. And then you had Sienna. What year was that?
So then I had my daughter Sienna, and that was 2000, summer of 2019.
2019. So that your business looks maybe a little bit different now. So instead
Yeah.
of doing how many weddings a year, you're doing like how many weddings a year now?
Yeah. Yeah. So from 2014, when Jessica Bordner sort of officially launched, till 2019, there was definitely a shift. I really honed into like who Jessica Bordner was as a business, what the brand was, and did a ton of like education. I went to conferences and really honed in on like what my brand, what I wanted it to look like. And then in 2018, 19, I rebranded completely, hired on people to help me rebrand from website to just like who I was. And that was like a huge shift. And that was right before she was born. And at that point, I had probably shifted from shooting 25 to 30 weddings to probably like 15 a
Yeah.
year.
And did you raise your prices when you
Yeah.
go down in weddings, you raise your prices. So just note to whoever's a photographer and about to have a baby, like prepare yourself for that. And you did. You rebranded, you redid your website, you raised your prices, you made yourself less available, and I'm sure you like got help in the house
Yeah.
or like warned the in-laws and your mom
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I'm gonna need help."
Yes. Yes. Um, I think preparation is everything, especially if you're like me, where I was trying to be a mom, trying to get pregnant and kind of looking just I'm a planner at heart. So planning ahead. Yeah. Just like what is this gonna look like? And I think even if didn't become a mom, I think my goal was always to like get to a point where I could increase to this price range. And, you do it in slow increments, but I think the rebrand really pushed me into like a different market, which was my goal to do anyways. Obviously, timing was great. I just remember kind of like doing the rebrand and then doing like a huge sort of like it's not really it wasn't like a conference I went to, but it was like an online school for kind of like being in this new market. And I just remember like watching courses while Sienna was like a newborn napping, just like, okay, I'm gonna try to fit this in. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So that kind of leads me into looking back at your business when you first started and maybe right before Sienna was born to where you are now. How did you define success in those different stages? And maybe how has that grown or evolved?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Um, I think pre Sienna and pre being a mom, I think success for me, at least in business, was obviously growing your business to a certain point, having your name be within, the industry in certain groups and getting awards and what types of weddings you're shooting. And while those all do define success in a way for your business and help it grow, when I became a mom, I think success to me was just like being able to plan enough ahead that I can run a successful business and still be there for my clients, but also be there as a mom and not feel overwhelmed, feeling like I'm present with my newborn baby, but all it's on my mind is work. I just didn't want to be in that space. So,
Yeah, and being able to hop into chapel or go when she has like her preschool events and all those things you were always on top of.
yeah, no, it's so nice. She's at the age now, she's 5, that I am able to do these things. And I've grown to a point where I'm trying to take on weddings that mean more to me, like what makes sense, versus feeling like I'm taking weddings for financial purposes. And then shifting my business to do more things that I find creatively like engaging, like the interiors and the brands. And it's new, but it's exciting, and it's creatively exciting. So I'm able to kind of do that, but then be at like Monday morning chapel, or even like more free weekends, like taking her to birthday parties. Like I used to be the one that was like never there. So that's cool.
Yeah, that has
Hmm.
shifted. I like it. Um, hmm. I feel like I had a question in mind from what
Yeah.
you said. Oh, what's the hardest part about working with a bride? Or at this price point, are you even working with brides straight up anymore? Are you working with planners?
Great question. 90% of my clients I work through planners. Um, and then I think even with those clients, it depends on the client. So some clients I'll never speak to, minus like a 10-minute conversation at the beginning. And then like obviously the day of, and a lot of it goes through their planning team. So that's shifted a lot from being in a different market, because in the market I was in pre 2019, 2018, my clientele I was speaking to was the couple. So a lot of conversations with the bride, knowing a lot about them. Like I almost was the planner in a sense because a lot of them didn't have planners.
Yeah.
We're now pretty much 100% of my brides have planners, but depending on how like involved they are or want to be, I'll have more of a relationship or connection with them.
That's interesting. It's not something I really thought about.
Hmm.
So what's been one of the most challenging seasons of motherhood for you, and what has helped you through it?
That's a great question. I think for me, nothing has no not one of the seasons felt super challenging. I just think all of them when they first shift feel challenging in a small
So
way.
true. Yes.
Like I know I have friends who would automatically say like the newborn phase was challenging or this, but I like enjoyed a lot of it. Obviously it was hard. I probably was crying and like in it, but I always enjoyed it, and I just think it was more of like the shifts of change that presented like challenges, and then um and then kind of trying to like enjoy the season. So like so far I haven't. I'm sure like teenage years come back to me. We'll interview then. If I have a challenge. But yeah, I think just getting through I think it's like one of those things where like when you're in motherhood and you're seeing things and then you get caught in this like, oh gosh, what is going on? Like I don't know, like things have been frustrating or different. And then kind of like stepping back and being like, oh, this is kind of like a normal developmental thing. And I think I just need to think of it that way, pivot, figure out how she's going to react or what she needs. And then like things are fine. But
Yeah, it's
um,
almost like you have to reframe it in your brain because I'm like you, it's
yeah,
hard. Like changes are hard for me, especially ones that I don't plan.
yeah.
So when the kids are changing, there's a lot of shifting that as moms we have to do ourselves. And that's,
Mm,
yeah,
yeah,
reframing it in your brain to do so
yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
So, what are there daily rhythms or habits? I'm just thinking of like your supplement cabinet that keep you grounded and focused even when life feels full or chaotic.
Yeah, absolutely. So different things like I actually had to think about it. I'm like, what do I do daily? Because I think it's just such an automatic thing for me that feels like it's normal. But then you tell someone, they're like, what are you doing? Oh, that's cool. And you're like, oh, I forget that that's not like what everyone's doing. So I would say, like, at the end of a day, even if I'm like exhausted, I try to like tidy up because I like waking up to, you know, a clean, organized home. Um, and I always like in the morning, in terms of the morning time frame, I like just popping in smells into my diffuser with essential oil. So, depending on the time of year, it could be like cinnamon and clove if it's like the holiday season, or right now I'm really into citruses,
Mm-hmm.
floral like smells, spring.
Yeah. Spring,
Just like
spring.
a fun smell, making sure everything smells good, a little music on just to kind of start your day. Obviously, not every morning starts that way, but I try to do that. And then I try my hardest to stick on like supplements. I'm always doing like a probiotic. If it's the season of allergies or the season where people are getting sick, like trying to hone into like my daily routine on what I take to make sure I don't get sick and fall off. So,
Yeah, and you're the one who introduced me to that Arma colostrum. Are you still
yeah,
taking that? You still
I
like that?
am. Yeah, I was just thinking I need to order it, and then I need to order the travel packs for my trip. But that no, that has been great. I like trying new things. Sometimes it's like, oh, this didn't really do what I thought it was going to do, and then sometimes it's great. That's been great, especially my hair doesn't really need to grow. It grows
Yeah, you
so
have
fast,
fab
and I
hair.
have a lot of it. But like I've had to have a haircut every time I've gone in. My hairdresser's like, your hair. I'm like, I'm not taking the colostrum for my hair, but it's definitely so if you're having hair stuff,
Yeah.
it's
Oh.
definitely been helpful for me. And then, it's funny because I grew up like my mom, which wasn't like a thing as much in like the 80s, but I grew up in a household of like supplements and essential oils. And it
Yeah.
wasn't like a thing then.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's kind of cool because that's always been like, I feel like I was in college using essential oils, and people are probably like, what is she doing?
Yeah.
Because
Before
back,
like internet
before,
was a thing.
hmm
Like, how did she even get them?
I don't know. Yeah, I know. I'm like, what were you doing? Oh,
Same. I remember having oils around. I also remember like fake lavender smells, which I couldn't stand lavender for so long. But she would have those, my mom would have those bottles of essential oil, like high school. I'm seeing them in the drawer. Like, how did they find these?
I know. So funny.
What about
So,
like before a wedding? Do you get nervous before you do a wedding or before you do a shoot? And like, do you have a little ritual that you do to
oh, that's
prepare
such a good
yourself?
question. In the last few years, and specifically for weddings, I don't get nervous anymore. I feel like it's such a normal thing, and I've been in like every type of situation from weather to, different personalities on a wedding day, working with different types of vendors. So nothing scares me with that anymore, which I think with interiors, because it's new and like more challenging and sort of like I've only grown for a few years within that space. I think I do get a little nervous, um, which is kind of a cool feeling. Like I think that's where like the creativity like spark is kind of like alive, where you're it's not like riding a bike where you're just like going into it and like I could do this with my eyes closed, but it's more like what is this space going to look like? What is lighting going to look like? How can I play around with this? How can so it's like kind of a cool thing. But in terms of rituals, I think it's more just like prepping everything the day before, making sure I have all my like equipment and lighting and things are charged and that sort of thing. And then trying to just like listen to music or do something chill on the way to a wedding or a shoot and not overthink it too much. Like, the night before reading through like your timeline or whatever your project is, and then like the day of just kind of like be more creative mindset than like panic
Yeah,
of like, what do I have to do?
my hair tie snapped. And I don't want my hair to look silly. So we'll just put a
Cute.
bracelet in it.
It looks cute.
I'm like, I can
The
feel it
new,
snapping.
oh, the new,
Okay, so, but yeah, I think preparation, because I've seen you, or I've been over while you're in the middle of prepping for shoots, and I just feel like you have like your bag that's perfect to fit all your things, and everything's charged, and you have all your backup things and your backup memory cards, whatever we call them. And I just think when someone's nervous, maybe just like tell them to prepare a little bit more. I'm just again thinking back to like you when you first started. Just what are you nervous about? And yeah,
yeah.
like not being prepared. So just prepare
Yeah,
better.
being prepared is the best thing. And I would say before I felt comfortable doing a wedding or before an engagement shoot or anything like that, I would prepare more in terms of like, what can I do? I would think of it comes to me naturally now, but if you're new into the space of like weddings or working with couples or families, I'd always have like two or three things that were easy to do in the back of my head that you can just go to when you get stuck. So like with posing, like a lot of people get nervous with the posing part of like wedding photography or engagement. Like, what do I do next? And you don't want that silence. You want to keep your couple flowing. And it is sometimes hard, like, especially during a wedding in Florida, you're hot, you've been going for 5 hours already, and you get to that point and you're just like, your brain kind of shuts down for a minute. So I think just having like one or two like key things, like know that you can always have them hold hands and walk, or something just as simple as like, don't forget that they can move, or if it's hard for the bride to move, you can always put them like face their feet together, face their feet in front. Like think of feet motion, and just that little change will get them into a different position, and then it will kind of like allow you to like recreate again in your brain.
Yeah,
So if
that's a
you
good
have just like two or three things, you'll always have that. So you can go to those.
I love it. So Sienna goes to a local Christian school, and then is there any other way that you incorporate faith into your parenting or your business or your daily rhythms?
Yeah, so I think as a family, we just every decision we make, or just the way we decide to parent or make decisions for Sienna or each other, we always make sure that it's like within like our beliefs and like following like what we think is right, not trying to stray, because then you can feel that and like this doesn't feel right fit for our family, whatever it is, the decision to like go to a party or take that trip or do whatever. So I think we always go back to that. And then for Sienna, she goes to a really cute school, and parents are allowed to join chapel every week. So, my husband does shift work. So anytime he's off shift, he'll join. Sometimes it's both of us, but one of us, I think we've missed one this entire year. So, or we always try to be there.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So it's like a filter, is kind of how you're describing it. I love it.
Yeah.
What, wait, hold on, I skipped a question. I
Yeah.
started
No.
having my glasses on, but it gets like when you're staring at a screen, it just kind of
Oh, yeah.
blurs.
Oh,
Um,
no, your glasses are cute.
Thanks. I tried. I'm like, I think I need bigger ones already. Have you ever felt pressure to do it all? And how have you created boundaries or redefined productivity in motherhood, either in motherhood or in your business?
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone, right, has felt that, feeling of like being overwhelmed because you're saying yes to everything, or feeling like you have to do it all in all aspects of life. Um, it's really funny. I think yesterday Jenna Kutcher had a post. I don't know if you saw it, but it was like, I guess she got asked to speak at something, or maybe I'm saying it wrong, but she got
Oh, yeah.
invited to something
Yeah.
that she was like, 5 years ago, I would have been ecstatic. Like this would have been like such a goal. But she said no because like seasonally it didn't make sense for her family for her to go. And I really felt like that is such a true thing for me right now. And like, especially with like the shifting of the business and things like that. Um, I just have like learned to kind of say no to things that, you know, she had a good point of things will come, like you will be provided with opportunities that make sense. And it might feel like saying no to something is gonna like make your business fail, or not allow you to like book that next wedding or whatever it is in your business. But I have found like saying no to things that don't make sense, like if I'm going to miss something at my daughter's school or family event, to say yes to maybe like a huge networking event that all the like people are going to be at. And if you're not there, you're going to be looked at as like, oh, you're not, maybe she's not doing weddings anymore or whatever. And that small talk has happened like that by me saying no to more things. But, I do think like just putting those boundaries, in the end, you feel like more balanced. It's not like a negative. And so I think just like trying to figure out a way to like do the things that make sense for you, and not getting so overwhelmed by saying yes to everything.
And I feel like that's, what is it? The JOMO, the joy of missing out.
Yeah.
That's where
it's
that comes in.
it's it's true, and I think you can find it once you start like doing it. I feel like the first time you're probably like, oh, I should have gone, like, you know
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if it's for the reason of that it makes more sense for you and your personal life, and you're not going because you don't feel comfortable or something, then I think saying no is okay, and trying to find a little bit more balance.
Yeah. So along those lines, what's something you've let go of in this season to create more space for what matters most?
I think going kind of back to what I was just talking about, I think I've definitely let go of the feeling of having to join everything, and in terms of like the business, but also kind of personal, like really slowing down on like what I'm saying yes to on the social aspect. I'm definitely more of a homebody. Maybe I'm living in my grandma like style, like gardening, but
I
like,
know. I miss living one like a golf cart ride away from you because like you guys would just show up with margaritas or
yep,
wine or vice versa. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect. I like got some social
yeah,
time without having to do too much.
too much. I know, for real. I know, we miss you guys.
I know we do
But
too.
like trying to like garden and doing all these things, and then trying to kind of like let go of feeling like I have to say yes to everything. And I think before I didn't say yes to things because I felt like I had to, but I just think when you're always going, 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 maybe you're just feeling more run down, and then you can't put your energy towards your business or your motherhood or being a wife, and all these roles you play. So
Okay, so the garden, we haven't talked about that yet, but I feel like it's a good point because that's kind of one of your rhythms and grounding things, but
yeah,
also, so maybe mention that, but do you still have Urban Abundance helping you with it?
I do. I
Okay.
do.
So
But half and half.
so talk about that for a second because like you
Yeah.
garden, but you also have help because
Yeah.
it's nice to have help.
Yeah. In 2020, I decided I am starting a garden. Obviously, I was spending more time at home and I was like, I want to have a garden. Urban Abundance basically came and he mapped out garden beds where it would make sense and helped me produce a garden. At that time, I tried to do it on my own right off the bat. I was successful during like the easy season, but then when like the season in Florida was like harder, I was like, my things are growing and I don't actually know what I'm doing. So, Urban Abundance, I hired them on. They have a program where it's basically a membership and they come out twice a month and they will keep you abundant essentially. But within that, they are teaching you. So, I'll have whoever it is right now, I have Amy, but because Kat's on maternity leave, but they'll come and they'll, sometimes I'm here and I can talk to them in person, but if you're not, they'll email you and say, like, here's what's going on in your garden. This is why this looks like this. This should still produce, but this is why it's doing that. Now it's time to harvest this. When it starts looking like it, this is almost ready to harvest. You got to look for this. So it kind of teaches you, like, oh, that's when I'm supposed to harvest those. Or, I pulled the carrots too early because I didn't know where you're supposed to like do that. And so it's like little things that you're like, oh, cool. Like, this is how they're growing it. So I've learned a ton and I'm kind of ready to try it on my own again, even though they're still helping me. But I took the first step is I actually got a hydroponic garden. So I have the like traditional garden beds, raised beds, and then I have now a hydroponic garden that I'm doing by myself. And that's like, if anyone wants to try gardening, this is like a good way because it's kind of like, it's easy, kind of just does it on its own. And you get to enjoy all the things. And then we've also planted a ton of like fruit trees. So we have two bananas, an avocado, and now I have a Thai guava, Thai guava,
Mm.
and the guavas are producing for
Ooh,
the
I want
first
that one.
time. Yeah, so they're
When
like
you
this big.
have an abundance of them, my mom makes really good guava jelly, and she'll
Yeah,
teach us how to do
I
it.
need to ask her how to do it.
Yes.
How do I do it? But anyways, yeah, so that is another way of grounding. I love being outside and just like tending to the
Yeah, but that like then
in my
translates into your kitchen because like every day I'm
yeah.
seeing you posting a cute salad or something from your
Yeah,
garden. So it translates into more health benefits down the road. And I think that's great.
absolutely. It's really fun to if you like to cook or even if you don't, like I like to cook, but it's like hard for me to. Like I feel like time-wise, like I like enjoy the like presentation of cooking. So, like when you have like edible flowers, you can just like pull from your garden and make something look pretty. It's just like more fun to eat and it makes it more colorful. I love it.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, I'm like three kids. I'm like, oh, what am I eating tonight? Because what will everyone eat is not the same as
Wow.
what will I make for myself that
Hmm.
looks pretty.
Yeah, that's
I'm struggling.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I enjoy cooking and baking, but not when everyone's like, oh, why'd you make this?
Yeah, or
Because I wanted it.
yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go cry now, thanks.
Yeah.
So these are like last two wrapping up questions. What encouragement would you offer to another mom who's in a different stage, whether she's just starting, say, a photography business, um, or maybe she's just having a baby and she's owns her own business, or maybe she's feeling burnt out?
Yeah. I mean, those are all really great places to be, but I know that they're hard to be in that. And just kind of like looking back on some of the like smaller struggles I went to, I just think I got advice when I was taking Sienna home from the hospital that was like, think of everything in like 3 week increments, especially like when they're a newborn, because like so much changes.
Did I tell you
Like
that?
maybe,
Because my mom told me that.
oh, she did? No,
Yes.
Dr. Brown, Dr. Brown told me.
Hey, doctor.
That's awesome. I guess maybe it's like a thing people say. I always remembered it because it is true. Like when you feel like you're in like a, especially with like motherhood, like maybe you're in a space right now where you're like overwhelmed because you're not getting sleep because you're in the newborn stage, but you also are trying to like, when am I going to have time for my company? Just know that like in every like 3 weeks, or you can put a time frame on it as they get older, it will change, things will shift, and it will look different. And it's okay to like let it not be perfect at the moment. Try to just let go of it a little bit because in 3 weeks you'll look back and think, why was I so stressed out? It was all fine.
Or like it's some project or some couple you're stressed out about, but then you do it and it's fine. Have a good contract in place.
Yes,
Those
yeah.
sorts of
And
things.
yeah. If you yeah, if you are starting photography business, I would definitely, and probably any business, like encourage you to find a mentor. Maybe it's someone you can work alongside physically to learn from, or take some sort of private mentoring or class. Because I think just having like the business side of things like locked in will help you just like grow and like allow you to be creative and like get to where you are with the pretty stuff if you have that in place
You're so good
too.
at it. Do you offer one-on-one
I
consulting?
do. Haven't done it in a while, but I do offer it. I used to do it a lot. Used to do a lot of teaching, a lot of mentoring. I'd love to do it again. I'm always looking for mentors for like my next steps. I think it's like super helpful. So if I can be a mentor to someone in a position that I can share all the knowledge, I would do that. Yeah, 100% offer that.
Yeah, I love it. So, last question. What's a dream or vision on your heart lately, and how are you stepping into it?
That's a great question. So I think it's fun to always have dreams and visions, but I think currently, vision wise, I've been really thinking about like what the next like 5 years might look like. Um, for, just wanting to, again, make sure that I'm going to be present for like the next chapter in Sienna's things. Like all my friends are like soccer moms and dance moms and cheer moms.
Yeah.
And having space to continue to be able to like be there as much as I can, while still having a business. So slowly like doing small shifts and some creative things behind the scenes at Jessica Bordner, that I'm excited to kind of roll out as time goes on.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm going to hint that there might be a part two of this if or when you launch
Yeah, there we go.
the next thing, so we can talk more about it then. But
Absolutely.
any last words of wisdom or any last things you want to say?
Yeah. I think, I think it's okay to like be in whatever chapter you're in right now, whether that's like the hustle of starting a business and like being in that. I think like I loved being in my like hustle of business and like feeling overwhelmed and like all the things, is it helps you like learn how to not do that and like what it should look like, and to prepare yourself for maybe the next step, whether it's a marriage or becoming a mom, all these things that you may want to do while still having a business. And I think each step of the way is important in learning. And then I think it's okay in both ways. Like I have friends who are new moms that just started a business, and I feel like they are in that hustle, and I think that's okay too. Like to not feel guilty that they might have to put more time into a business right now so that they can grow it and provide as a mom. But I think it's also okay to like be a mom and put your business aside a bit or shift it in a way that allows you to be more of a mom. Like whatever your vision is for your family, I think it's okay.
That's so good though, because you're so right. The hustle part and prepares you for it, almost shows you the exact path you need to take. Like
Yeah.
me doing all these websites, I'm like, I need a template shop. Or me having this
Yeah.
Natural Visionaries community, I'm like, I need a podcast just so these people can tell me all of the good things that are happening in their lives and in their businesses and in their homes. So I see that. It just gives you that path. So there's definitely seasons we're all in. Well, thank you, Jess,
I
for
know.
your
Thanks for having
time
me.
and your wisdom. I loved
Absolutely. So glad I could be on.
it. Yes. All right. And if we do a part two, we'll be on that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you for listening to that episode with my sister-in-law and good friend Jessica Bordner. She is a wedding photographer. She is an interior photographer. We didn't talk about her dog, but she is a dog mom with this cute little old man. She is a mom and the wife of a firefighter, and she does incredible things behind the camera. Go follow her. I will post her links in the show notes. And if this was helpful to you, share it with a friend, leave a review on the podcast page, and tune in next week.